Today, fighters, we're going to dig into your 2023 contractor pricing guide. Listen, how you price your work can often be confusing. We get a lot of mail here from y'all, emails, DMs. How do I price my work? It's important to note that you make your money in two main ways. The first is what you sell the job at, and the second is the fulfillment of the project, meaning did you finish the job on budget? Because if you bid it for a certain amount and don't finish it for that amount, then you ain't making no monies. That's a problem. And today, I'm going to give an overview of some different models that contractors use to come up with their sales price. And if you get this wrong, you're going to have financial issues. And so I want to break some of these down for you. Let's go. You might have heard about our Mile High Profit Summit event coming up in September. You might also have heard that we've added a powerhouse package to the event called our Elite Package, where you get to spend the whole day with myself, Ben Newman, and Renee Rodriguez as we dig into your business and help you become more of an elite business owner who really wants to create a legacy. This is for somebody who just might want to 10 to 20x their business in the next decade. It's for somebody who wants to only work with high profit clients and learning how to communicate in ways that attract not only those high profit best clients, but also the best talent in your trade so you can fulfill all the work that you're selling. Head to milehighprofitsummit.com. Click on the Elite Package and take control of your future. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. We do a lot of good stuff here. All right, the first way is what's called a fixed price contract. With a fixed price contract, you provide a single number for the project. We're going to do this bathroom remodel for X amount of dollars. Now, this is best for clearly defined projects where it's pretty cut and dry. The good thing about this is that clients and you both know what to expect with a clear scope of work, and there's no surprises. There's not a lot of different decisions that might need to be made, or you work those out in the sales process and you make those decisions, then you come up with a lump sum pricing. So the fixed price is a great way. In fact, it's my preferred way of doing projects because I don't want any surprises. I don't want to be the typical contractor that's showing up every few weeks or every few days going, hey, the scope is changing, because it just creates too much BS between you and your client. One of the issues that a lot of contractors have with a fixed price contract is, how do I handle those jobs that are a longer term project? And this is where you can put into your contract an escalation clause. This is basically to help you account for fluctuations that you and the client both agree upon. You know, I coached a lot of people in the past year where they would sell a job and not do it for 6, 8, 9, 12 months later on, and material prices went way up. So you want to make sure that for a longer term project, all your costs to do the job are not fixed, that you have that sort of a clause in the contract. In my opinion, there's less scrutinization, that's the word. See, that's a word I don't use very often. There's less scrutiny from the client when you have a brand and you're selling value and you know how to communicate and set expectations and you have some boundaries. Here's the lump sum cost, and they're not nitpicking the thing. Some of the cons of the fixed price is you might have an unclear scope of work, meaning if you are not dialed in on the expectations of the job, what that scope of work is and what's not included, that can really hurt you. So you have to be dialed in with your paperwork and the scope of work in your contracts. It's also important to note that the cons of this is that bad job site management can really hurt you. I see this a lot, again, with some of those bigger jobs that are a fixed price. It's easy to think, oh, wow, I got this $350,000 project, and you take your foot off the gas and you think it's just going to automatically turn into profit. You've got to be dialed in with your on-site management, because every day counts. Every day is compounding one way or the other. The second pricing model is a unit price contract. You can think of a unit price contract as an itemized bill. Rather than giving your customer one lump sum estimate for the entire project, you provide them a list that breaks down the work into smaller units. Example, if I'm painting a whole interior, I might have a price for all the ceilings. I might have a price for the walls and for the trim and the doors and so on. That is a unit price contract. Some of the pros of this is it's easy to update your pricing if things change, right? If the scope of work changes and you've done your bid and then you're following up in the sales process and you're having a conversation, they're like, hey, we really want to go with you, but it's a little more than our budget. You can have that conversation around, well, hey, out of all these things that we itemized, it's easy to go back in and just remove the ceilings if that's not really important to them. Cons of this, I think it opens the door for clients to nitpick your pricing and they question everything. Personally, I always found that when I priced things like this in the past, it required more administration on our end to keep track of things. So may or may not apply to you. The third model is a cost plus contract. This is where all of your direct job costs and all your indirect costs, your overhead, are figured, and then a certain profit margin is added. And that profit margin could be a fixed fee or a percentage of all the costs. I've rarely met a contractor that can pull this model off successfully. Here's why. Most contractors really don't know their direct costs. Most don't know their overhead costs, and they end up shooting themselves in the foot where they go, here's my cost, it's 10 grand, where their cost was really 20 grand. And then they're adding their profit margin of that on top of it, and you're still short on the money. That's a problem. But again, if the client really trusts you and you've built that strong brand, you have a great relationship, and you're like, Billy, here's the deal. This project, it costs us $125,000 to produce, and here's our 100 grand on the back end or whatever it might be for our profit, which would be net profit. The fourth model and the final one I'm going to cover here is time and material contracts, T&M. This is basically, here's my labor, here's the cost of my materials, and any other, expenses with the project, if you have to rent equipment or whatever it might be. And you basically go, if it's $100 an hour and it's a 10-hour job, you're like, here's $1,000, they give you $1,000. Pros of this is it could be helpful to go T&M on a small job where you go hourly plus the materials and you go. Now you need to make sure that your hourly isn't just for the cost of the person in the field, but it also includes all of your overhead and your net profit baked into that hourly rate. Cons of the T&M is, number one, it's tracking all the time on the certain task that you're doing. We all know, let's just own this shit. We're not always the best of tracking time in every task that we're doing on the job with absolute clarity and certainty. So I want to dig in as we begin to wrap this episode up a little more into the fixed price contract. We've been preaching this for years here in the Contractor Fight. And like I said, this is my preferred model. This is the easiest way to figure up what you should sell a job at. And I personally believe it's the fastest way to make more money right now. In fact, this model, when done properly, your direct cost times at least 2 is going to put at least another $100,000 into your bottom line each and every year. So listen, I want to help you get it right with your pricing. And a great starting point is our 50% gross profit pricing tool. So you can get that for free if you go to thecontractorfight.com/50. Grab it, and it'll walk you through exactly how to do a fixed price bid for the next project that you have. Don't shortchange yourself. You're worth it. You're adding a ton of value to your prospects and your clients and your team. Don't mess with the money. Make sure your model serves you first. I appreciate you taking a few minutes here today. You guys rock. I got to roll. I'm out.